If you look at the cube now, it's really starting to come together. You have two of the bottom rows complete. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get a cross on the top side. Every now and then when you finish the bottom two rows, the cross is already there. If that's the case, you don't have to worry about the next pattern. However, most of the time that doesn't happen. So you're going to face one of 4 different situations. The first one is the cross is done for you. The next one is that you have only the center square. You have no middles that are the same color as the center. If that's the case, where you have only a center, the middle colors around it, the color doesn't match. So what do you do in that case? You see the 6-step pattern up on the right, top right? See that one? You just go ahead and do it. Doesn't matter where you start, you go ahead and do that pattern. When you finish the pattern the first time, you're going to notice that you have 2 middle pieces, but they're not directly across, they're adjacent. And by the way, normally when you finish the bottom 2 rows, up on the top, it's going to look like this. You're going to have 2 of the middles, and they're going to be adjacent to each other. Now it's important now to set it up in a certain way before you do that pattern again. I want to position the cube until I have what's called a backward L. Or if you use the L in sign language, you can match it up. When you start with the backwards L and you finish the pattern, you're going to have 2 middles, but now they're across from each other. And it's important, when you do the pattern again, you have to make sure that those are horizontal, not vertical. You want it to be this way, not this way. So when you have it horizontally, facing the ceiling, now you're going to go ahead and you're going to do that 6-step pattern on the top right of the page. Go ahead and you're going to have a cross when you finish. So what's the learning technique that goes along with the cross on the top side of the cube? The learning technique is creating a story. I mentioned this earlier, but let me go a little bit more in depth this time. when you create a story with yourself doing some type of action in that story, it helps you to remember or recall that information. So for example, here, what I could do is I could picture myself standing in a square, then jumping so that I'm standing in 2 squares, one up here and one here. And then I could do another one where I jump again and my feet are right here. And that makes a picture of what each of the different middle pieces have to look like. And then maybe I end it with a big dramatic jump from here to here with my hands here. And now I'm finished with the cross. You could picture yourself doing that in front of a crowd and then clapping, whatever. It takes a little bit more time. It does take a lot of energy to create the story, but it's a lot more fun than just sitting down and just repetition. And you remember it well that way. So what's the life technique that goes along with the cross on the top side of the cube? The life technique is just accepting that, life is not fair. I wish it was, but it's not. And when we accept that, think about this. When we accept that life is not fair, we can accomplish anything. We just have to find a way to overcome the different situations. I get so inspired by deaf people that they are police officers, doctors, producers for TV, just so many different things. The only thing different between somebody that's deaf and somebody that's hearing is the person that's deaf, they can't hear. They can't do anything that a hearing person can do. Why? Because those people have accepted that life isn't fair. And they're going to find a way to overcome the situation that's in front of them. If you've accomplished so far where you've gotten the bottom 2 rows and the cross on the top side, you've accepted that solving the Rubik's Cube is difficult. Maybe it can be fair, but maybe you thought before you started that you didn't have the ability to do this. You now know that you're going to be able to solve the cube. In a way, it's similar to accepting that life is not fair. So as you move forward, what are the things that are not fair in your life? Write them down and then find a way to overcome those.